So hear me out. This is very weird to say, but I think that mental disorders come from time travel. Time travel. It's really weird because, like, mentally, you can think yourself into a different time. You know, like last week when I had posted my video, or this morning when, I went to the bathroom. Like when I think about that, those things, like, we think about them. If you hear the words, you think about it. It's like your mind is putting yourself there. It's like you reach for that. Like when we see, wealth, and when we see what it feels like to have wealth and stuff, it's like you try to put yourself there, which could induce, a psychosis from time travel. And that's conscious time travel. It's not physical time travel. There's a difference there. And I don't know anything about conscious time travel. I just kind of came up with that on the spot. But anyway, yeah, the symptoms to time lag, or what they would call jet lag, basically, a response to time travel and like coming from to and from through time and stuff like that, is, manifesting fatigue, difficulty concentrating, sleep problems, and other symptoms like memory loss and all kinds of stuff, like the inability to understand what's right in front of you. Probably hallucinations too. I don't know. I didn't say anything about that. But so how do they monitor these things? How do they monitor time travelers? Because that's what I'm gonna start calling, people that that have a disorder. Because they time travel. They not here. They not here. They consciously, they somewhere else. You know what I mean? They time travel. They got to be time travelers, bro. That's all I'm trying to say. Like so when you look at how they monitor this stuff, like there's a lot of people in the world, they got a sickness. I mean, honestly, I think they said it was like 22.8% of adults done in a study in 2021 have mental illness, just regular mental illness. And then 57.8 million people is the equivalent to 22.8% of adults. And that is like 1 in 5 of, people inside of America or the US that has had a sickness. And that's 57 million people. That's a lot. Anyway, 5.5% of US adults done in a study in 2021, have had severe mental illness, and that equals to 14.1 million people. And that's 1 in 20 people that have had a severe mental illness. I think that number is probably getting closer, like to the 1 in all the other stuff, because the way that America is working, bro, it's like we push ourselves into like mental duress. Like we duress each other, we stress each other, and then sometimes we even stress ourselves. And like that's where I'm trying to broaden the line so that everybody can understand, like, it's not my fault, bro. I'm just making a video. That's it. And so we're looking at this. How do they measure these things? Obviously through time. Clearly through time, because it takes time in order to understand where somebody is going and when they get back, and if they're even here at this moment in time. And like, I'm not trying to say that like people are crazy or anything. I'm just trying to say that like those terms came from a socio-economic situation, and the socio-economic situation is the way that people engage with each other, and that creates the social economics, that creates the economics of the whole world. So like, how do we change that? And I'm pretty sure the scientists and doctors, they have a lot of information on this stuff. I'm not saying that they don't want to do anything. I'm just saying that maybe they have a different direction that they want to go when it comes to all of this information. And I mean, of course, like Black people aren't being studied the way that they used to in science, in scientific, terms, but maybe it just went from physical to mental. So the reason I think that the physical studying of Black people has transferred to the mental studying of Black people is because of the way that things are going. And it seems like there's a situation where people are giving an opportunity in order to do things. It seems like there's an opportunity, but this opportunity, it just ends up becoming, what it's formed into behind the closed door. The closed door nobody cares about, because the closed door has nothing to do with the way that people view each other. Because when you close that doors, of course the door is a door, but if you see the reflection of yourself inside that door, that is basically how you live when the door is closed. When the door is open, the way that you interact is what changes everything that you see inside that mirror. That's how I feel about it. And I think that I'm really pushing here, but a lifetime prevalence is the reason that there's a difference in what's going on. Lifetime prevalence is something that is monitored over time, and I'm pretty sure that it's been monitored in a lot of places for people. And like the way that things have changed, have evolved into an understanding of what is needed in order to have longevity or happiness while you're doing this thing called life. And here comes the darter. So lifetime prevalence is a number of individuals who have experienced the event or condition, which is mental illness in this case, and you equal that number to the total amount of population that's at risk, and then you get yourself a broadened range of how many people could possibly get sick, where the sickness is coming from, and just look at the people that have went through the sickness and to understand where it actually comes from. So they understand that life prevalence is a thing. And when it comes to life prevalence in comparison, white people have a higher life prevalence than Asians. So that means Asians are living longer without being sicker or getting sick, and white people are getting sicker, but they still have, a good life going for them. I mean, not really all of them, but most of them. I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about that stuff. Anyway, so, and that relates to, mental health access. It relates to the socioeconomic status, the cultural differences, the perception of those cultural differences, and the way people feel, mentally about themselves. And that brings the whole, time delusion thing that I was talking about. Anyway, that it's all about access to care. And if you have different factors of mental health, basically depend on your access to care and if it's adequate or not. Not to mention the limited access to culturally competent services, or financial constraints, or cultural stigma, outside of nature. And those things reflect off of what kind of mental awareness a person is able to have. So let's look deeper into mental illness. When it comes to mental illness, there are treatment rates. Treatment rates equal, racial parties or ethnic parties are less likely to actually have a treatment. And when it comes to the other side, they, have insurance and stuff. And that's all based off of the fact that they work really hard for the stuff that they get and the stuff that they do. That's awesome. Great for them. So, underdiagnosis. Underdiagnosis has to do with the way the doctor views, sickness. And there's a lack of culturally sensitive screening. Basically, I would be considered crazy if I was talking about, white people hurting me, because they don't do that anymore, of course. And this is a new day and age where everybody is one. Like, we're all Americans and stuff. And some of these underdiagnoses lack structured barriers and care. So like, they probably don't care. That's probably just because of the way that people carry themselves every day. Like, if you come inside my house yelling, talking shit like, oh yeah, man, I was fucking off on my old girl. Hey man, I like your nurse, man. Hey, you gonna give me your nurse number? Like that kind of stuff, then it might change your diagnosis. That's all I can say. So the cultural response to care, like, it is crucial to ensure that mental health services are culturally responsive, but we don't know about that. And I think they are, but the culture has to do with who benefits from it. I'm not saying that who isn't everybody, but who could be everybody, and it just ends up not being everybody sometimes. Maybe it's because of drugs or other things. I have no idea. So specific mental disorders are schizophrenia, depression, And that's it. Schizophrenia and depression. I think schizophrenia is the anxiety, a little small dose of anxiety, or not small, a big dose of anxiety. And then depression is, the past thing. So schizophrenia and depression are basically the spectrum in between sickness that you would get if you are a time traveler. I'm a time traveler. Not saying I'm crazy. I'm just saying that the way that I am maneuvering consciously is just not normal. And I found a guide. I just don't know how or what. I can't explain it. I just can't. But I do love God. I can tell you that. Anyway, so this lifetime prevalence, let's see, give me a second. What kind of factors actually affect mental illness? Research indicates that there are cultural factors, socioeconomic disparities, and then also, I think it was historical trauma, which may play a big role in higher rates of certain mental disorders. And yeah, that has nothing to do with what we do to ourselves, though. So, like, these are just facts. Like every day we gotta live, and that's all we can do. Yeah, aside from all that depressive stuff, I actually learned something today. I use my mind, and I ain't even had to do the whole physical thing in order for me to learn. But I'm still about that action. I know how to make money. I know how to make money. Don't get me. I know how to make money, but I've been making money for the wrong reason. I'm reevaluating myself. Reevaluation, and pretty soon, motherfucker gonna come to me. They don't come to me for my work. Y'all gonna come to me for my work. You're not about. I ain't about to beg nobody to do nothing. Anyway, I don't have. I learned about lifetime prevalence. I also learned about socioeconomics. Not to mention jet lag. Not even just jet lag. I learned about time travel too. Conscious time travel. It's really weird to say that. And then Anhedonia, Anhedonia. Yeah, that's it. Anhedonia, lack of pleasure. I learned about that word too, and I think that ties into most of everybody's sickness and their disorders and stuff. And the Anhedonia, basically, these are possible symptoms. These like it equates to possible symptoms, and it comes from traumatic brain injury. It comes from, I think it was like it's relative to traumatic brain injury, Parkinson's disease. It's also relative to depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and I think there's like substance use disorder. I mean, there's this, drug abuse, and then also PTSD. That's all like evolved around Anhedonia. Yeah, I'm not figure out how to say that word. Oh, you need help? The reason I'm talking about mental health is because I think I had an episode, and it's really not even just something that I think I had. I think, yeah, I know it was. And I went to the hospital. I talked to them. I said, man, I don't feel like hurting myself, but I do feel like there are, people watching me and, trying to hurt me. Stuff. That sounds really weird. Why would you say that? Because that's what it equates to. When you look at the way that things are socially constructed, it equates to, oh, this guy is crazy because, there are a lot of good people in the world, and there's no way that anybody would manipulate the power that they have in order to do the things that they do. Not really the things that they do or the things that they've been accused of, because that's really what it boils down to. Accusations. And I'm not accusing the hospitals or like the public of not caring. I'm just here to say that complicity is something that you literally have to like ignore. Like you literally have to ignore problems in order for you to be complicit. Like there's no way that you can know something and still live your life without caring about it and not being complicit, because that's complicit. You being complicit if you know about it and you don't care. And yeah, I feel like that's what I was doing. I was complicit and just thinking about, oh yeah, somebody's trying to hurt me and stuff. But really, I need to be taking care of myself. I need to understand myself and do better for me. I think I had a realization, like a waking up situation, going in that room, the door locks and stuff. I had to like spend a lot of time there. It's just confinement. When I'm already confining myself, I'm trying to reach and do things. And yeah, here I am learning and talking about what I just learned about, because I think that's going to help me get somewhere. That and God, definitely God. God is always good. God is always good.